Good morning, Mr. Ntshidi.
Morning, sir.
How do you pronounce your surname? Is it Ntshidi? Ntshidi or Ntshidi?
Ntshidi.
Ntshidi. Okay. Mzingisi. Yes. Thank you very much. We are going to formalize the hearing by administering an oath or an affirmation, and then Mr. July will take you through the paces of your affidavit. Advocate Ngele.
Thank you very much, Chair. Morning, Mr. Ntshidi.
Morning, Sisi, Mama.
Are you going to take an oath or an affirmation?
I'll take it oath, it's fine.
No problem. Mr. Mzingisi Ntshidi, do you swear that the evidence you're about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If that is so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you very much. You've now been sworn in as a participant in the SJN hearings.
Thank you. Mr. July.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Thank you. Yourself?
I'm good. Mr. Ntshidi, you've got an affidavit in front of you, right? And
yes, that's right.
That affidavit has not been signed. And the oath that you have just taken now, it incorporates this affidavit.
Yes.
That what is contained here is the truth and nothing else but the truth.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, in your affidavit, you talk about you as a young boy from Nyanga, and you went to school at Kukuletu. You studied at Kukuletu then, but you had to play cricket at Kwalanga. Yes. You talk about later on you being encouraged by your principal Mkijima to go and play cricket, the local cricket. And you later on talk about you guys forming a black cricket forum. Yes. I think it is better that you take us through your affidavit. You don't have to read it, but talk to your affidavit.
All right, thank you. I'll start by, formally introducing myself here. I know that you've already started, but my name is Mzingisi Cyril Ntshidi, but I've got a nickname. Nickname is Zoo. Well, my parents gave me the nickname. I didn't.
A minute. Can the sound be improved, technicians? I can barely hear what you say. Yes. Yes, can you continue? We're trying to improve your sound.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I need to raise my voice. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. My nickname is Zoo. Everybody knows me by Zoo. And ndingumtshilibe ubhanqo ubobese ulanga undize umama onzalayo ngumangwanya ujolo uqengebe. Yeah. So history sam ijeni kwi life history yam kwi cricket is that yes, I remember this year I went to school in Kukuletu, right? And at the school, fortunately for me, I mean, it was my first time at school. And when I arrived there after school, the ring bells as normal. No, the school is out. So the teacher called us in a corner, and then he wanted to get some boys from us who can play cricket. So, I mean, at that stage, I didn't know what cricket is about. But only one boy went, next to him. And then Mr. Plaki, he was a cricket master at the school. So he said, is this the only boy that is going to play cricket here at school? So I said to myself, hey, okay, I don't know what is he talking about, but let me go across as well and join the other guys. Yes. So I continue getting practices. He keep on coaching us. And
what age were you when you were invited by the teacher?
I would say I was around about 14, 15 years at that time. So I was already old for me to play cricket. I mean, in these days you can't get somebody who's 15 years and he wants to start cricket. But okay, it depends. Maybe the ability. But anyway, he made a very good move. Because he knew already from the beginning that, okay, most of these boys, they don't know what cricket is. So he organized a trip to Newlands, because Newlands is the cricket stadium in Cape Town. Yeah. So he organized a trip, and then he informed us that he's already spoken to the principal. So that particular Friday, we are going to Newlands with him. So we need to prepare ourselves. We need to bring a little bit of food for us and some drinks. So we all went there, very excited, and we got on the bus, tramway. It was not an organized bus, but we had to take public transport. So we went there, and then we all sat, around him, and he was explaining to us, what is happening. Who's bowling now? Why is he bowling? How many balls he bowls? And all of that, he just explained it to us. And then that also, was very important now, because when we went back to school during the practices, so it was much easier for us just to copy, what we saw during the game at Newlands. Yeah, and I don't know what happened, but basically in fact at school, I noticed, and he also noticed early. Obviously, he knows the game better than me, so he noticed that when I'm bowling, other players, they get hurt, or they just don't want to, to face me when I'm bowling. So, I believe then they call you a fast bowler in cricket, if that's the case, Yeah. So, more important, more exciting as well is that, we started to play for the schools now, because there was a league for the schools around the township mainly. So Langa schools, Guguletu schools, not much in Nyanga where I come from, because remember I didn't know this game. But yeah, those schools mainly, I think those areas mainly. So they would play under a league called Clicks. I think everybody knows the Click store, and we play once a week on a Wednesday. So basically, what would happen is that because of John Passmore, and he He was a white man, an old white man from England. But when I hear the story, is that, he's been very much involved in cricket development in the township, especially trying to develop the black Africans. So we will get in the bus and everybody will go to one venue, which is Langa Stadium. And but I think there was another stadium, I think NY49, yes. Mm-hmm. So I would notice that also during those games, the teachers would get...
NY49 is a section of the Guguletu Township, is it not?
Yeah, NY49 it's the area.
Yes.
Yes.
Section 2.
The streets most.
Is it in section 2?
I'm not familiar with the sections, but I know all the NYs. I know.
Well, it tells me your age,
I know. Okay. Anyway, the bus will collect everyone, and then there'll be one central venue. But I noticed something, that the teachers, they like to join us, especially from my school. And then they would get into the bus and would watch especially when we're bowling. And I don't know, for some reason, I would notice that it's difficult for other people to face with the bowling, for my bowling. But nevertheless, even in betting, and I just enjoy, as a bowler in those days, I just enjoy running in, just to run in and hit the deck hard, and the rest is history, to me. Really, for me, it was not really about fast bowling or hitting people or hitting players, but it was just about enjoyment that I was getting. The teachers would love to, to join us really and be happy, after the game. Also, at school, when we're back, the results will be announced in the assembles, it was all fun, at that time, really. And then to the stage now where Mr. Makosana, Mr. Makosana was very, very passionate about cricket. And he was leading the cricket with John Passmore at that time, and some of the teachers as well. So I was invited to play in a John Passmore. And there was another tournament called John Passmore now, after Clicks. Now in this tournament, you find that, also, it's mostly the black Africans, that plays in this tournament. And it's played during the holidays in December. That, for me, that was the only tournament that I know at that time, especially when I started playing in high school. But I must mention also that, when we were playing, when I was in primary school, we used to play versus, the high schools, So the same thing would happen, with the high schools players. They would not enjoy the bowling, against the Vukanya. Anyway, John Passmore week was a big stage, for everyone, from the primary school and the high school. If you got selected for that tournament, then you probably know that, there is something that you have. So there is a potential there. Anyway, the tournament, as I was saying, that the provinces would come down to mostly when I was playing, the provinces would come down to Cape Town. We have provinces at that time, Transvaal, that was the strongest team at that time. I remember in the players like Abokrod Bomba, Bedlala Pangela Pash. You find Eastern Cape also very strong team now, Eastern Cape. And then you find players Pana Konu, I think who put Mobanani Nangela Pash. Hey, and he was good. It was good. And then Oma Free State would come down, you know. Transkei now did came down, you know. It was a well-organized tournament, you know. We used to stay, all of us as players, Kwalanga, San Francis now. Okay, there's a church there. Okay, so there used to be rooms there, hostels for us to stay there. So the whole week would play, you know, different provinces, and yeah, you know, it was fun. And you know, like all the tournaments, you know, you will find that there are selectors, you know, because at the end of that tournament, there's a team there that must have players, and those players that makes that final team. John Passmore, I think it was John Passmore, Junior Springbok, something like that. Yes, yeah. I mean, in my team, we had good players in my team. Yeah, about Junior Sokanyile, a solid batsman, you know. The guy can bat. Yeah. And you find about Ben Malamba, you know, the guy can keep. Yeah. So his hands really were meant to keep. I mean, and batting as well, he was a good batter. Yeah, ngidlala kakhulu nabantu abadala. I think ngidlale nje once, but bakhona no Put Ezra, no Soli, Ofasi.
Ezra who?
Yeah, you look. That team was. I mean, I don't know who coached them. I mean, okay, I know that John Passmore used to organize some coaching clinics, but hey, they can play in that team.
Mr. Ntshidi, you mentioned Ezra. Ezra
Yes.
who are you referring to?
Ezra Kagwe.
Okay. Yes.
So when you play in a John Passmore, then you might be selected for John Passmore Junior Springbok, and then you get a cap, you know. Likewise, you know, when you see South Africa, guys are getting blazers and caps, you know, that type of thing. So I think John Passmore is really working on us, you know. Really trying to make sure that we, at the end of the day, you know, or maybe when he's not there, because he was an old man, some of us would play for the country, you know, for their country. So that team, when he's selected, selectors will then, during the awards, you know, the final day when they give out awards to best players of the tournament, best players of the day, something like that. So those players then will be called, and they will be making up that John Passmore Junior Springbok team. I think I've also made it. You know, I also made the team at some stage. But there's something very important, very, very important about what did John Passmore wanted to achieve, about that team. Because, the tournament, even before our time, John Passmore was already involved, like I mentioned, with the cricket development and especially the Black Africans. The Abu Tatus Ben, the senior, Tata Ben Malamba, Nabo Mr. Makosana, no Bootcamp, Bonk, already they were involved with John Passmore. Yeah, well before Dumisa College we started playing. I don't know, there's a story that there was a trip with the legends that I've just mentioned. Because of the passion, they wanted to go and play in the Eastern Cape. And traveling to Eastern Cape, they used a back of a lorry or a truck. So I think Khayelitsha, that time, there was a big businessman in Koguletu, Tatu Mandla. Yeah. So I think he sponsored, or they used his truck to, for them to get there. But what I'm trying to give you a picture here is that John Passmore was really busy. He was trying to prove that the Black Africans can play this game. So from his dream, John Passmore, is that one day, yes, he wants to see some of us play for our country, and I think that was just his pipeline, to achieve that goal or dream. The team that he really wanted to make sure that first his dream comes through is for him to make sure that his team, which is the Junior Springbok, plays against the provincial team. That was White's team, the provincial team I'm talking about. It was all Whites there. So he wanted to make sure that this team of his plays against that team, right? And that team, that provincial team, I think it was the under 19 sort of, or under 18, not sure, because also we were also under 19, under 18. So that team, that provincial team, normally would play against a tournament called Nuffield, right? Mm. So Nuffield is it's like Kaya Majola now. I think eventually, he changed the name into Kaya Majola. So that team Nuffield was just white, okay. Mm. And then I remember, I think it was in the early 80s, yes, yeah. Fortunately, when I was also part of the Junior Springbok, I was the player also that played against that team. And I think that year also, I think we played Gauteng, and my bowling figures were so good. I think I bowled 7 overs for no runs, and I took 7 wickets. So I was man of the tournament that year, right? But now I just want to go back a little bit to this one because it's very interesting. Because when we finished that tournament, where I was man of the tournament, is that a prize was given to somebody initially, okay? So normally after the prize giving, we would go back to our rooms, and just wait for the next day so that we can go home. But to my surprise, I saw my teammates, especially the captain, which is Junior Khayelitsha. He called us together, and with the other guys, said, "Guys, no, this can't not be happening." And they've discussed and said, "But you know what? In this team, in our team, we got a guy who is the man of the match of the tournament, but the prize goes to somebody else. You know, I don't know how did they work it out, but yeah, guys were so no, I wouldn't say angry, but they were just inquisitive. You know, how did it happen? How did it end up there? You know, so they went to the teachers to inquire, and I think it was sorted out very quickly. So the guy was given an award, was called in, and then he was just informed that the officials had made the wrong decision. So he had to hand over the prize, which was the bet. But but basically, you know, when we got to Newlands, unfortunately now I was injured. I had a back strain or something like that. So Mr. John Passmore was not happy. You know, he was not happy. You know, he wanted to see me play. But anyway, he tried that at least I can be a 12th man, but at least maybe bowled 2 or 3 overs. I tell him, look, you know, it was most all week, was very strenuous. I mean, my back gave up. Not really back, but just a slight strain on the back. But I couldn't really bowl. But now he insisted, now he wants to see me. Anyway, the 11 guys went in to play against the Nuffield Western Province team. And then I was called in to come and also bowl, you know, after I think it was about 5 overs bowled already. And I was bowling the first over, and nothing happened. But then the manager of the opposition team was not happy that I'm bowling because I'm a 12th man. Right? He's a white man now. He's complaining. So I say, like, okay. Now, like I was mentioning, John Passmore was really, really, really looking forward, you know, seeing me bowling that day. Anyway, I had to come out of the field because he's not happy. And I was just that 1 over, you know. But yeah.
Can you hold it there? I just want to understand. Was it a rule that if you are a 12th man in a squad, you were not expected, suddenly, by the opposition to be played? I just want to understand, why was it a problem that the opposing cricket team, why was it a problem for them, you playing when you are when you had been, I suppose, introduced to them as a 12th man? Just take me through that so that I can understand why, firstly, it was for them to complain that you were playing, and secondly, what you were expected to do if you were a 12th man.
Well,
yes.
The only thing I can say is probably, you know, I was maybe the best bowler tournament already in the John Passmore. But nevertheless, we didn't know as players what was the rules. And that game, I mean, for me, it was a friendly game, you know. It was just a friendly game between the 2 teams. So, I mean, in these days now, you can, we call it equality of opportunity. You don't take players to a tournament in these days, right? And then, although they are 12 men, but within that 5 days, everybody's got to play, okay? Not just to be on the field of play. If you are a bowler, then you have to bowl a number of overs these days at a tournament. If you're a batsman, you need to bat. If you are a wicket keeper, you need to keep. In these days, it's a quality of opportunity. So then, I think it was from his advantage then to say whatever he wants to say and then come up with that kind of. So yeah, I wouldn't say I was denied opportunity, but because maybe I could not have also bowled more than 5 overs because I was injured at the time. Yeah, so. I don't know if my answer satisfies you.
Yeah, well, I'll mull over it. Yeah, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So yes, I think the John Passmore tournament, I think, has opened up many opportunities, for Black African cricket, because now that tournament became. In fact, everybody could come together now, and eventually we have a Khayelitsha, cricket week. Right? I also now then I don't know. Someone was talking.
No.
Yeah. Okay. But yes, my cricket career, went further at that time. So while I was at Langa, there was a time where I felt that playing cricket in Langa, it's fine, but what about Nyanga, okay, where I come from? So Nyanga East, there was no cricket, right? So I also decided to introduce cricket, and I introduced cricket at Nyanga, but I was also fortunately a founder member of the senior team at Nyanga, and as things get even better for me, I think it was in 1988 where I was selected to go to attend the National Academy. Okay, so in the National Academy team, we had players from the Western Province. It was mainly, as usual, white players. The only Black African was myself and then Ben Malamba. And I think there were also 2 colored guys, but I can't remember the name now. But we went to this academy in 1988. It's called Plascon Cricket Academy. And then that's where we met the likes of Hansi Cronje, Gary Kestin. He went with us to that academy. And Peter Kestin, yes, he was our coach. Yeah. And as I went there, I was a specialist bowler, obviously, so they're going to take me through the bowling. So while I was in a net, we had a bowling coach, and myself. I think that if you remember, there's a player, Richard Snell, was with me, I think, in one net. And we were just bowling there, and we had a coach, a white man, an old man, and he was not really happy with me. But I don't know why, because he could not communicate properly and tell me what is it that he wants. But nevertheless, after that tournament, what I'm trying to get at is that after that academy, when we were back, myself and Ben, we thought of moving from Langa, because remember, the township team was not playing. The township teams, even Langa, where cricket was very popular, but that team was not playing Premier League, and so there was no way for players playing in that division to be identified or selected for provincial teams. So that was the move for us. Then we decided to move with the help of our coach, who I think was Melthorn. Yes, Melthorn was our coach. With the help of him, I know he spoke to us and said, "Guys, I know you're very passionate about your team, but if you want to play for this province, a provincial team, then this is the only chance that you will come to Claremont and then you play there." I know the rest of the people also, at Langa, and some of the players, the officials, were not happy with the move, but we had to do something.
You said you must come to Claremont to do what?
So to Claremont Cricket Club.
So what was Passmore saying? You must join the Claremont Cricket Club so that you can get exposure to competitive cricket. Why was he recommending that you should come to Claremont from Langa?
Okay, I think John Passmore at that time was, I think he was no longer. I think he passed away, so rest him in peace.
So who was suggesting that you must go to Claremont?
He was our coach. There was a man called Melthorn.
Belthorn.
Yeah, Melthorn. I don't know if he's still alive, but yeah, I think he's very old now, where he is. But yeah, he advised us. He said, "Guys, I've been working with you at Langa, and then and you are a good team, You guys, there's a big struggle that the Western Province Union could accept, taking you or allowing this team to play in the Premier League." So the only option for us, seeing that we're coming now from the academy, was to go and play for a white team. And then that team was Claremont Cricket Club, was based in Constantia. Yeah.
I want to understand this. You'll excuse me if I go back. Now, you had been playing cricket at Langa. Why then did you have to go to Claremont in order for you to play what appears to be an opportunity for you to play competitive cricket? I just want to understand why you had to go to Claremont when you live in Langa, and in Langa you had been playing cricket, whether it was school cricket. Did you understand why it was necessary for you to go to Claremont?
Yes, the Western Province Cricket Union, and now at the time when we were playing, their league was structured in such a way that the white teams were the only teams, or most of the teams that were playing in the Premier League at the time. So Langa was playing somewhere second division. Right? Yes. Now, for a player who wants to make provincial teams like the Western Province, you have to be playing in a Premier League as a player. That if you want to make the Western Province senior team, which is today the franchise, that kind of a system. So we wanted to make Western Province, okay, because I think John Passmore has already laid the foundation for us. So we know where we want to be, right? So we then decided maybe it's the best thing that we move from Langa and then play for Claremont, who at that stage was playing Premier League, and they were the strongest team at the Premier League at the time.
Now, you keep on talking about white teams. Was the Claremont team known as a white team?
Yes, it was white.
Because
Definitely.
all the players were white.
All players were white.
Okay, yeah. So just let me understand then what happens when you get to Claremont. You obviously are not white. What happens? Was it at the invitation of that cricket club, or how did it happen that you got to Claremont, which you knew was a white cricket team or club?
Yes, the invitation, like I've mentioned, it was initiated by Melthorn, who was our coach at Langa.
Yes.
So he invited us, but it was our choice. He said to us, guys, this is the opportunity. If you want to play a provincial team, right? So this is your opportunity.
Yes.
That you go across. There's no other way. Because your Langa Cricket Club is playing second division.
Okay.
At the moment. And then there is no interest of any selector to come and watch teams playing in the second division.
I see.
All the provincial selectors watch only the Premier League. It still happened like that even today. Yeah. So we were invited to come to go there, and we took the offer because we remember that we've been prepared, and we wanted to achieve what we want to achieve. It might sound foolish, because then it's one or two players going across, but. Who knows? Nobody knows what lies ahead of us, or maybe changes, because we know. In fact, I know that I need to break these barriers.
No, I don't mean to understand. I just want to understand, because it seems to me it's not a question of whether you made a good or a bad choice.
Yes.
But it seems to me it was the system there were no facilities in Langa, as I understand you, the nature of which enabled Langa to play cricket at a higher level than what it was. The Premier League, for instance, Langa was not part of the Premier League, as I understand your evidence. Is that right?
That's right.
And therefore, if you wanted to play at the big stage, and the Premier League, as I understand, was that big stage, you had to go to a club, a cricket club in your area, which was an affiliate or something, which participated at that level. And Claremont was, to you from Langa, the nearest club you could go to play in the Premier League. Is that what you are saying?
That's what I'm saying, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then, who was financing your travels, and when you got there, were you automatically accepted? Who had paved the way for you to be in that club in Claremont that would give you the opportunity that you were coming to Claremont to get, namely to play in the Premier League?
Well, initially, I think the invitation came from Melthorn, and he offered himself to transport us, to play. I mean, to be able to go to Claremont. It is quite a distance. For me, coming from Nyanga, I've got to take 2 taxis.
Yeah, in fact, that's I've even forgotten that you were not coming from Langa. I was thinking of Ben. You were coming from Nyanga.
Nyanga, yes.
It was known as Nyanga East then, not even from Khayelitsha, and it's quite a distance.
Yes.
So you took 2 taxis to get to Claremont?
I took 2 taxis to get to Claremont. Mr. Chair, there's another thing that maybe just comes to my mind now about 2 taxis and about traveling. Yes, I was born and bred in Nyanga, playing cricket in Langa. It was the same thing for me also.
Yeah.
When it comes to practices, I had to go to Langa. So I had to walk from Nyanga to Nyanga Junction, which is in Kukuletu.
Yes.
To catch a train there. So I had to walk something like plus minus 8 kilometers.
Yeah, it's quite a distance.
Yeah, it's quite a distance. And I would get to Langa, and I would get to Langa very early, before any player there. And while I never sit down and wait for somebody. I would start to run my 10 laps around the field until everybody arrives. And when they arrive, I join them. I don't complain. So basically, exactly what I'm telling you, I'm saying now. When I was at Claremont, it was the same thing at Claremont. I would arrive there with 2 taxis from Nyanga, and I would get early there, and I would run. Yes, going back to your question about were we welcomed, I would say we were welcomed very much because Melthorn apparently already, had spoken to certain players or certain officials at the club about coming of these 2 players. Once again, I think I could not play the whole season there because I got injured. I also pulled my back, the muscle, but Ben played, and I think Ben played 2 games on the B side because they wanted, I don't know, 1 or 2 games in the B side, so they saw he's good enough, so he went straight to play the first team.
Who's that? Ben Malamba?
That's Ben Malamba, the junior, yes. Well, when I recovered, and I think he left the following season. He left because there was a bit of unfairness, which I also experienced at the club. I also experienced some unfairness at the club. But he left, and then I stayed behind, and I had to prove myself, because everybody was now looking at me, wanting to see what do I bring in, what do I have. And yes, I did, There were, at the club, there were the likes of Gary Kestin, and Alan Dawson, was playing at Claremont Cricket Club.
Hans Kronje, was he at that club too? Hans Kronje?
I know Hans Kronje, I think it was somewhere in the Free State at that time.
Okay.
Yeah. But basically what happened after our 1998 or 1988 academy is that all those players that were there, they were taken by their provinces. So I think that's one of the reasons I need to explain why we had to move also to Claremont Cricket Club. Because all those players after that academy, they were taken by their province, and they were in their provinciality setups, different provincial setups. But myself and Ben had to go back to the township, So we, when that offer came from Melton, so that's why we decided, okay, let's take this offer, because our province is not going to look at us at all. But yes, okay, let's see if we play for the White Club. And yeah, I played. I think I played 2 seasons, yes, and I played the second team there.
According to your affidavit, that was now 1989, is it?
Yes, so it was 1989, just before 1990, yeah.
Yes.
Or in 1990, yes, yeah. So I played second team, and everybody was happy in my team. And I think what happened in just, after 2 seasons, at the end of the tournament, at the end of the season, I overheard our captain was talking to the players. Not overheard, but he was telling everybody in the change room after the game that day. He's been trying to push that Cyril Ntshidi plays in the Premier League first team, because he's good enough to play there. But he keeps on getting this comment from the captain of the first team that, no, I don't want him in my team.
Who was the captain of the first team?
I think it's Greg. I just forgot his surname now.
Okay. Now he said he doesn't want you in his team. Did he give a reason? As far as you can remember. Why didn't he want you in his team?
I could not hear the reason why I didn't want me in a team, because now my captain is also frustrated. He's also white, but he's frustrated. He's been trying, apparently, from the beginning of that season to try to get me to play in the first team. But he's not getting any answers why I cannot play in that team. But the only thing that he's getting, besides any other reason, is that Greg does not want me to play in that team. So I said to myself, look, it's because of the color of my skin. I mean, there's nothing else. Because when I played their second team, remember, was playing very competitive cricket as well at that time. And when we play against other teams around Cape Town, oh, you know, we were winning games. And I mean, I made my contributions, you know, and I mean, I really contributed in most of the winning matches. I mean, even betting, I had to improve my own betting. I was betting number 11 anyway. Remember, there were one game we were playing against UCT. The whole team collapsed, and I went in to bet at number 11, but I scored 49 when I was about to score half a century, which is a big achievement for a number 11 batsman. And the captain decided to declare. And his explanation to me was, you know, I didn't check what was your score.
You didn't what?
He didn't
when you
check.
are just about to do a half a century, he declares and he says, no, I declare because even though I didn't check.
Yeah, that was the answer. But look, Mr. Chair, I'm the guy who does not ask questions too much, you know. I just go out there and I play hard as I can, you know, and I enjoy myself. So he had to explain to me, but why did he decided to declare? And for me, it was just like, you know, another.
But how did that make you feel, Mr. Ntshidi?
I think everything that has happened was blocking, you know, and trying to make us as black cricketers not to get where we want to get to, you know, starting to really play at a higher level, playing at our provincial setups. You know, eventually if you play at your provincial setup and you still show potential there, then you are eligible. They can select you to play for academy, which, yes, of course I did, I think. And then from there, you can play for your country, you know. And at that time already, you remember, Mr. Chair, that things were starting to change in the early 90s.
Yes.
So we were seeing a window opening, you know. That's why we're trying to push. Yes, I must say that I did play in the courts. I was selected to play in the courts team. I remember Neil Mombert was in my team at that time as well. I think he was coming from, I don't know where he was coming from, but he had to join the team that was coming from Western Province. So for us, it was starting to open a bit. We were seeing the light, and but yeah, unfortunately, there were issues, you know, and it's true, you know, systematic racism is very alive, you know. I will talk about this later on, when now I've decided to leave cricket in terms of play. When I started now to say, okay, let me coach the youth now, the juniors. Then I still see the systematic racism is still there, very, very, very much. But I'll talk about that now when I'm talking about the hubs and RPC program. Mr. Chair, it's very important that we touch on the formation of Black Forum. Okay, the formation of Black Forum also was very important to come together. because there were these challenges, these blockages. Okay, township plays there. There was so much division. Then you get coloureds. The coloureds play there. The whites plays on the other side. Cape Town is divided by a railway line, Mr. Chair. If you play on that other side of the railway line, you must stay on that other side of the railway line. That kind of thing. But I'm very glad that I was part of the initiative by Mr. Makosana, to come up with a Black Forum where all these clubs, these township clubs, comes together and fight for one common cause. We, in fact, he put up, a document on how we should go about, as township, to start to develop our own fields, our own facilities, equipment, players, scorers, coaches, and all of that. That was now very, very important for us to start to, to develop our own people. What he did, Mr. Chair, was very, very important. He approached the Western Province with the idea. I remember that time, Western Province Cricket Union president was Percy Son, okay? Yeah. And I like Percy Son because he was a comrade, you see. Yeah. So he understands the struggle. So there was a meeting at Zimasa when this whole thing started. So Western Province came into that meeting, and also us from different townships who were present. So everyone from the office there had to present and tell us what they do there in the office, what is their work, okay? Starting from your administrator, and then also they need to tell us what kind of committees, how do they operate there, and it was presentations that were very fruitful, to us. A year later, if I'm right, Western Province opened up that they need to get Black Africans to serve in the committees there. So there was selection committee, all those committees there, that makes up the whole structure in the association. So I was fortunate to serve as a selector, a provincial selector. And when I was a selector, I must say that there were only 2 Black Africans in the Western Province setup. It was Tami Tsolegile and Albert Nkomo at that time.
I'm sorry you've gone very far ahead of me. I want you to go back to paragraph 18, basically, because you must remember we have left you when you left Langa and you get to Claremont, because they say if you want to play in the big league, you must be in a club like the Claremont Club, because in Langa you didn't have Premier League clubs. Now, I was following you very closely, and I was interested, and I still am, that we should go to 1991. Because you remember 1991 is a marker for change transformation, the beginning of transformation. That is the year during which, as I understand it, and you will take us through that to the extent that you recall. But in terms of our brief and in terms of our terms of reference, 1991 is a marker for the so-called unity in cricket. Up to this point, you have been given us evidence that we were able to appreciate and follow, because you were making it very clear that whites, there was white cricket, colored cricket, African cricket, etc. Now, it seems to me from what we have heard from other participants, 1991 was the year when there was a decision for implementation.
Yes.
All the cricket clubs must now be unified. We must now have one cricket, one country, one South Africa. And that coincides with you in December of 1991 being employed in the town council as a sports organizer to develop cricket in the Khayelitsha area. Can you take us, just give us a story now. Because I think it's a very important part of your story for purposes of it going into the record through your testimony.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, you know, after I've realized at Claremont that although the country is changing, but after I've realized that it seems that I'm not going to make it, right? And fortunately, the other door opened in 1991.
Very important. That's critical. What was in Claremont that was a disincentive for you? Why did you feel that, Premier League, big stage, but I, am not going to make it here? Just take us through that and let us understand why you felt that way.
Mr. Ntshidi, just to add on to what the chair is saying, so we also just want to understand the point where you felt that you would not make it. What could you see that made you, where you could then see that it's not going to happen for you?
I said, like I've mentioned that, I could really feel now, after the comments are made, that I'm not wanted in the first team. That my dreams stop here now, of becoming somebody, to represent my country. So for me,
no, I'm not going to allow you to. Just let me understand. What is it that was so clear, that made it clear to you that, hey, listen here, I'm not wanted here? What was not done that ought to have been done, in your view, fairly, in order for you to utilize the opportunities that, being in Claremont, the opportunity was supposed to, to sort of blossom and shoot you into a career? What was it? Was it something you felt? Was it something you observed? Was it something that was said to you?
Mr. Chair, I can only think of it didn't only started to me. Like I've mentioned, we were two players that were playing for Claremont Cricket Club. So Ben Malam was already playing in the Premier League, but for some reason also he had to leave the club you know, and decide that it's not going to work for him.
That's when he went to Escalation.
Then he went somewhere else.
Yes.
Okay. So I said to myself, look here, I didn't play last season, so I want to show what I'm made of. Okay. Yeah. So I continue playing, and my performance is, if people are keeping the figures or the records, you can go back there and have a look at the books, you know.
Mm.
So I was hoping, with all the performance that I was putting there, that I might be the next one now to play in the first team. Okay, Ben has left, so now maybe there's a spot there. I mean, you know the history in this country, you know. Blacks compete for one spot. So I also saw that opportunity. I said, okay, maybe it's an opportunity for me now. Okay, because one black African has left, so now maybe they can take me. For some reason, and quite obvious, nobody was interested.
Yeah.
Not that everybody was not interested, but a particular a section of the whatever club, because I still got, you know, there's one player there who was playing in a senior team, Alan Dawson. You know, every time he sees me, or we will meet in a whatever, or, you know, in the mall or just across, and he would say, Cyril the legend, you know. I mean, I never had the opportunity to play in the same field with Alan Dawson. Alan Dawson could see me at Nets when we practicing that day. This guy has got potential. So he was very, very kind to me. So, but now Alan Dawson, as he is as a player, he does not have the powers, you know, to make sure that I get to the senior team. So for me, I was left with no, you know, other option, Mr. Chair. I don't know if I'm really giving you the answer that you need, but I'm trying. The only answer I can give you, I was too black, once again, to get an opportunity. So I also had to decide, you know, I'm not going to make it here.
And that is when then you took the decision to go and utilize your employment as a sports organizer to develop cricket in Khayelitsha. And then in early 1992, you visited schools. Can you take us through that period and the work that you did subsequently?
Mr. Chair, I was very, very, very lucky. One door was closing, the other one was opening. The municipality in Khayelitsha was looking for somebody to develop cricket in the area. So they were looking for sport organizer. But it was not only one code. Yes, they were looking for somebody to develop cricket in the area, but they were also looking for soccer guy and also rugby. So we were three guys in one office, trying to make sure that Khayelitsha kids, you know, get the proper facilities, the proper coaching, the structures of the clubs improves. You know, so I worked, especially in 1992, from the beginning. So my job was to go to the schools, because remember, the bedrock of development is at schools.
Yes.
So I went to the schools, and I spoke to the principals, and I also spoke to the cricket masters at the certain schools. Khayelitsha is huge, Mr. Chair. I could not have covered the whole area, but I had to start looking at the schools nearby. right? So I went to one school which was near me, and then the other one on the other side of the railway. So it was K1, and then also I went to Luandle. And I think the reason also that I went to Luandle was that the principal there was my teammate when I was playing soccer in the olden days. Stanley Makubela, he is presently one of executive members at Western Province now. He's serving in one of the committees there. So I started my coaching program, and I had to organize matches for these young players. I must mention that when I got there, there was a club there. There were certain cricket players that were senior players that were playing at senior, but I think it was one team at the time. But there was no junior team. So mine was to start and put up the structure for the junior team. And now when you have to put a structure, you need to get not only just yourself, but you need to involve the community around. So I've managed to start with the teachers to come up with a structure for the junior team. And then I had to approach the parents that I also had to serve in the committees. Mr. Chair, there was only one field you could play cricket. It was the field, we call it Side B. It's in Palmer Road. There were nets there, but they were not in a good condition. But at least I could start something there, you know. So our matches then were played on that field. And I had the principal's support, and one principal, Mr. Makubela, was serving in that committee. And fortunately for me, also now, the same teacher that introduced the game to me now, he was now at one of the schools in Khayelitsha. Okay? The cricket master that was at Vukanya, so he was now in Khayelitsha, Mr. Plaki. So Mr. Plaki also was part of my committee, and we started. We registered the team in the Western Province youth leagues. We started playing. We've managed to get invitations for our juniors to go to the trials and get an opportunity to be selected there to represent the provincial age groups. But I must say, Mr. Chair, there were challenges. There were challenges. My challenge, although I was working for the city, my challenge was that the rugby was giving me problems, because the stadium that we're using, it's a rugby and cricket. You know, most the seasons don't clash. You know, you play rugby in winter, then your game finish before summer. Then cricket now must start to utilize the facility. But now I would get a challenge now, because the rugby people overlaps to cricket. And on many occasions, I had to use my own car. When there's away games, there's no payment now from Western Province, I'm using my own car. Or maybe I should not start by matches. I must just mention, I didn't have I had a car, but it was a council vehicle. But at times I had to use the council vehicle to just steal and go and drop the boat, 1 or 2 boys, to the trials. Until such time that I managed to buy my own vehicle, which was a high ace, so I could take a couple of boys now, put it in my team. So we now we're set to play games now. Now, another challenge, the teachers now that were part of my committee had to move on, So the new schools that were opening, people were now to move out of Khayelitsha. Now I had to be on my own now. I didn't have the committee any longer. But Mr. Chair, this door opens, the other one opens. One day I'm coaching and I see this man, a white man, comes in and he wants to talk to me. So he introduced himself as David Ramsey. He's from New Zealand, and he wants to volunteer, and assist me because in fact, he's been driving past there and he's been seeing that there's kids there, but there's not a lot of coaches. But he sees that there's a lot of interest here in cricket. So I said to him, now, I appreciate that you can help me and assist. Yes, I had to turn one of the players into coaches, one of the players, and try and assist me with coaching. So David was coming, to assist me, and he was helping me with administration. Remember when you played your youth league midweek games or even Saturday, you must confirm the games. You must phone, and you must phone also and look for the fields sometimes. And then you must also phone and try and get the opponents to arrive at your facility. So David was doing that for me. He registered a lot of boys. I mean, David was a white guy, but he know these boys all by Xhosa name. Yeah, he came in very handy. Administration was sorted out. I didn't have a problem with that. So I had to concentrate now on one thing: coaching and transport. Mr. Chair, that club, the juniors, they started to attend now the provincial nets. I would transport them to various venues, and they would be selected for. Unfortunately, they will only be selected for cricket development teams, but not the provincial. The under 13s, you under 15 PG Bison or something like that. No, so we only qualify. I don't know what was the setup, but yes, look, I just carried on, and eventually they grew, they became older. Then we had a first team now also. Now there was so much responsibility because now there was a number of boys now coming all over, and then I had to make sure that the club stays in the Western Province cricket. Although we did not have chairman, we didn't have an executive. So I had to change the players, like I've mentioned, to make sure that they assist this team now. They can now also start to serve as transport committee, and we formed certain committees within the club. But early on, Mr. Chair, I think I've missed something which was very important also. Because when I started in Khayelitsha coaching also, Mr. Passmore was still alive, I think. Because I remember at one stage, there was a combi that was sponsored, and it was a yellow high ace, and it was written John Passmore, you know, across the body. And that combi was at Langa, okay? And I think from Langa, he was quite happy to bring it to Khayelitsha, because now Mr. John Passmore was seeing, hey, now, you know, things are starting to happen. I mean, cricket is growing. So a lot of kids. So the combi was then given to us to make use in terms of transporting boys for practices, for matches. So it came very handy. You know. And then the club now had to play, serious matches now. You know, not just the juniors now, serious matches, because now I've got grown up now players. Yes, the challenge, we didn't have a committee, or we didn't have a chairman. And then the other challenge also now, which was coming very, very fast now, was that the facility, you know, now needed serious maintenance as well. And there was a plan to upgrade the stadium, right? But now the problem now is that when people decided to upgrade the stadium, there was no plan B, you know, for the team now, which is us now, to play elsewhere. It was left there. There were heaps of sand, which was left unattended on the field. I think the intention was good, because I think they wanted to top dress the field. Left there unattended, close to 6 months. And Mr. Chair, I was working for the city. And in our meetings, I would raise these concerns and these issues, that something needs to be done very urgent to get the stadium proper, or we move to another field. I don't know, but I think Mandela Park also was starting to develop. But everything fell in deaf ears until I was so frustrated, Mr. Chair. Remember now, the Khayelitsha was within the municipality. The Khayelitsha was falling under areas like Tiger Beg, you know, where there's mainly white people, and then areas like Ravensmead, Coloureds. So the whole area, because of municipal boundaries, it was called Tiger Beg municipality. So me coming from Khayelitsha, I used to represent Khayelitsha in our Tiger Beg region. So I would come up with these issues about, you know, development of facilities, upgrading of facilities, new programs like recreation program, which was not given an opportunity, the people of culture were not given an opportunity at that time to have recreational games. Your recreational games was good because during the school holidays, then you, as a municipality, you get kids together, you organize certain games, and you keep them away from, drugs and other things in the street. So all of those things, I used to raise it, Mr. Chair. Until such time I felt, no, I'm not here. Even worse now, even my coach is suffering now. Cricket is not also getting anywhere. I had left no choice, Mr. Chair. After David because I had to say, Dave, write these emails. Here is my manager's email address, write it to them. But when I get to the meeting, I had to check. I had to check with my manager if he gets if he gets the emails, and he would confirm that no, he's received it, but nothing has been done. Until we said, myself and Dave, let's report this thing. We start, because now we're not getting anywhere. But the club is growing. So we report. Fortunately, I don't know, for some reason, we managed to send all the problems. We escalated it. We escalated to Mr. Ngonde, Balfour. And we wanted him to assist us now because we were not getting anywhere now with these white people. I mean, serious, really. I was not getting anywhere.
And
so...
did you get any joy from having referred it to Mr. Balfour?
Mr. Chair, I was shocked and surprised. 2 days later, he personally phoned me and he told me, look here, Mr. Ntshidi, there's our Khayelitsha ngolosine. I think ngolosine lamini. He phoned me on Tuesday. He said, there's our ngolosine Khayelitsha. And this was a side B, which was the venue that we were using at the time. And it was the venue that we had a problem with because we could not use it properly. Yes, he arrived. He phoned again somewhere on the N2 just before the ramp off to Khayelitsha. I said, Mr. Ntshidi, are you at the stadium? I said, in Dilapa and Vegas, Dilapa that. Then he arrived, and it was myself and David David Ramsey. David had all the evidence of the emails that we wrote to my department. And we showed him. These are the emails. In fact, he got out of the car, he greeted us, and then he saw the boys in the nets. He said, I just want to bowl there. So yeah, he went there and he had a couple of bowls, and then he came back to me. And we had a look at the emails, and we had a look at the emails, and he was looking on the field. You could see that, this is a problem. These people can't play here, really. I don't know what's happening here. Fortunately, though, most of the ministers, when they go, they brought in a TV. So ETV was there with him. So if you want to go check the clip, Mr. Chair, it's there. You'll see what happened there. Okay? So I think he, after he showed, was also very disappointed. He made funds available. I mean, I'm talking about before World Cup now. So he made funds available for us to get a cricket stadium or a cricket oval. So money was available, funds were available through his department into Cricket South Africa, and Cricket South Africa to the Western Province. And that is where, Mr. Chena, we got to get problems now again. Money was sitting there in the account for more than 5 years. Even after the World Cup, the money is still sitting there. And when myself and David were seeing that nothing is happening, we approached the CEO. Said, hey, man, I don't know, we've been coming to your office, but it seems that we are not getting anywhere with you. And then eventually he told us, look, the money has been here, it's sitting in an account. So all what you have to do, all what you had to do, okay? We didn't know that initially. You must get the land where we can go. I said, we must get the land. I said, yeah, you must go the land. Fortunately, I'm working for a city, Mr. Chair. It happened that one day myself and David went to somebody's office, and when we told him that this is what we want to do, and then this is the money that is available, and he was so happy. And he also told us, look here, I also got money here with me. I've got land, I have money, but I didn't know what must I do with this money and that land. But now seeing that you guys came here with the money, I think we can start the process. That is now how the cricket oval started, Mr. Chair. And things now started to roll in terms of that development. Mr. Chair, the problems never started, never finished. Now I was too clever now. Okay? I was too clever now. People see me as too clever. Okay? Starting in the office where I work, the municipality, I had challenges now. Because immediately after Mr. Ngonde Palfe visited there and I was on TV there, then I got all the calls the next morning. Why I was doing this, why I was doing that, and you know. And in high position, Mr. Chair, up till the director of the city of Cape Town at that time. And you know, Mr. Chair, the saddest part is that this person who was at that time as a director of city of Cape Town was a cricket administrator at one stage before he went and worked for city of Cape Town. But Mr. Chair, I got all the problems. All the problems. Victimization, was bullied, was pushed to the edge, Mr. Chair, up until in 2010. They finished with me. They finished with me. And because of, I had to consider the health, my health and my well-being. Mr. Chair, was sad. It's a sad story, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it's for another day. But Mr. Chair, it's a sad story. Up until today, I have not recovered, Mr. Chair. I lost property, I've lost a family, right? And those things happen. You've got to know what you want. Got to stand up for what you want. You got to, like most of our political leaders did for us. They went out there, they fight, and until they got what they want. But unfortunately, Mr. Chair, maybe to move forward, like I said, maybe it's for another day.
Now, when you say you lost everything, how do you relate that to your fortunes or misfortunes with cricket? In other words, why do you say I lost everything in the context of your participating in these proceedings which seek to find instances and evidence of racial and gender discrimination, and generally unfairness with which people like you who have decided they need to come forward and share their stories with us and the general South African public. When in the context of talking about your career in cricket, you say, I've lost everything, I lost everything, and you enumerate what you lost. What is there for us to be able to understand why you attribute your loss to cricket or Cricket South Africa, or your time during which you were in cricket, where you made cricket your career?
Yeah, such a this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to tell a life story in cricket, and the problems that I've encountered was from cricket, and those problems was due to the development that I'm trying to bring, development of cricket, I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah.
You know, that I want to make sure that the kids, where I stay, particularly in the townships,
Yeah.
that those kids benefit from the game.
Mm.
So I was trying to make sure that something is happening. These kids, they benefit. What I didn't benefit, or what I could not achieve or could not get. But I had to go through what I had to go through. Remember, Mr. Chair, that the people that I've mentioned that I've worked under, he was a cricket administrator himself. For some reason, so surely there was an agenda, you know. And also remember, Mr. Chair, that in this province, we have black Africans in the township. We have coloureds in this province. We have Muslims in this province. We have white people in this province. Yeah? So we were coming up, Mr. Chair. Development was very, very strong. Boys were developing. Boys were taking positions, Mr. Chair, in the provincial teams. Little by little, you know, there were opportunities presenting, and then they were grabbing them both hands. A lot of challenges, Mr. Chair. Like I've mentioned, I was a selector, and that happened a lot of things could happen there when I see that, hey, yeah, we're also running short here of black Africans. But this team, whatever team had to be fielded, would require a number of black Africans, but it's not happening. So my story, Mr. Chair, is that yes, cricket has played a role in, in some of the situations that we're going through. And it's people that were put in positions, and people now were just pushing their own agenda.
Can you just, before we end, because we are left with about 5 minutes or so, the concept of a hub, what is a hub? And I see you mention it in your affidavit, and I think, if I recall well, there is a photo that I saw of a building or a structure that was referred to as being in Khayelitsha, but it does not seem to be. Yeah, by Max Jordan. There was something called the Khayelitsha Hub. But from the picture, it looked like it was something that is not utilized for one reason or another. And perhaps you could take us through that. What is a hub? What is it intended to do? The Khayelitsha Hub, what is it now doing? Just take us through that.
Mr. Chair, the hubs and RPC program, if I can start from the beginning, is that if you quite remember, there was a memorandum of understanding between Department of Education and Sports and Recreation South Africa, which were the two ministers there, Enji Mutsecha and then Fikile Mbalula. So Cricket South Africa was part of the initial talks of the funding that was coming from Department of Education into the Cricket South Africa. And fortunately, Mr. Chair, there are documents, they are available. You can read the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, the Memorandum of Incorporation, all of that, it's documented, Mr. Chair. So Cricket South Africa took the opportunity, and then they wanted to do cricket development. And I think it was linking this cricket development with their, what they call it, pipeline, Cricket South Africa pipeline.
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, Cricket South Africa would have all the provinces that wanted the status of the cricket hub and RPC, they would want that. They would apply, they would get the funding, and then when they get into their own province, I would make an example about Western Province because that's where I'm based. They will identify here in the Western Province the clubs that must get, and then there's a criteria that they use. The criteria must be that the club, for them to be able to get the status, they must have facilities. They must have enough playing fields, I don't know you know, the list that they want for the clubs to qualify for, that maybe sometimes at other clubs you would find that there's no facilities, but at least you need a cricket development there. So I don't know where it came from that for you to qualify, you need to have these facilities first. But fortunately for Khayelitsha, we already had a cricket oval. We already had a cricket oval, there were facilities there. Nets were there, the playing fields, we had two cricket pitches, now we have 3 cricket pitches. One is a turf, the other 2 is concrete. Our nets is concrete, there's 2. So those facilities there, the clubhouse is there, we've got change rooms. The clubhouse, we've got 4 change rooms. So that whole facility is used, Mr. Chair, fully. So okay. I don't know where it comes from that facility is not used. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's a misunderstanding.
Yeah, well,
but I know.
Yeah. So it is fully utilized, the Khayelitsha hub.
It's fully utilized, Mr. Chair, because now, once the status has been given to the club, to that specific club in that area, the hub coaches get appointed to then coach the nearest schools to that facility. So I have schools, because I'm a head coach now there at Khayelitsha. I was a head coach, started in 2014, up until now I'm a head coach. So that facility is utilized, Mr. Chair, to its fullest. And that facility, very fortunate, is that it is being maintained by City of Cape Town. The head coach duties are also to make sure that that facility works hand in hand with stakeholders, your municipality there, and your other stakeholders around. Maybe if you want to grow, or you want in the long run the club to run on its own, then you can look for sponsors, to assist you, because you need to invest now on the program. So that facility, Mr. Chair, it runs there. But Mr. Chair, there's problems. Everywhere where you find Abantu, then there's problems.
Yes.
So, but that facility, Mr.
As far as you know, does Cricket South Africa play any active role other than the Western Cape government, as I understand you to be saying?
No, I'm grateful that Cricket South Africa really is running the program, because Western Cape government, Mr. Chair, people there lack political will there, very much. You would find their programs at local government and at provincial government. They focus on certain people here in the Western Cape. I mean, those are politics of Western Cape. You can't miss them, unless are born. Yeah. So that club, Mr. Chair, has been running the program with the hub together. We have produced players, Mr. Chair. I can show you from the beginning of that program, Mr. Chair. I just want to get in a little bit, Mr. Chair. I can't miss this one. In that program, Mr. Chair, there are incentives. If, for example, your hub produces a number of players, because there's an execution agreement there for each and every coach. So you've got to make sure that you score on that execution agreement, okay? For example, in that year, or in that particular, whatever year or particular year, you need to, as a hub, to produce a certain number of players to get into the age group, provincial age group, and make the teams there, Mr. Chair, you would be given, it's all in your execution agreement, 3 players. Mr. Chair, we produce more. We've been producing more than 3 players from this hub, Mr. Chair. And when it gets to incentives, Mr. Chair, I don't know, maybe because we are in Khayelitsha, but we are not getting fair. We are not being judged on what has been produced, Mr. Chair. Okay? Not once, but many times. Like I mentioned, we started the program in 2014. In 2015, Mr. Chair, it was a new program. In 2015, we expected to play some games because this thing has got some incentives. Because remember that whatever boxes we tick, the province get incentives. Then the province would also give it to Cricket South Africa, and then Cricket South Africa would present whatever they need to present to the EPG, okay, for those scorecards. So, Mr. Chair, we play the games here in Khayelitsha. We were the only hub here in the Western Province that played games, Mr. Chair. We played games. I submitted all the documents to show to my manager that this is what I've done, even though it was a program starting. But for me, there was nothing starting. I was already running, Mr. Chair. Like I've mentioned what I've done in Khayelitsha. So when it was coming to incentives, Mr. Chair, given, we were overlooked, Mr. Chair. Right? The incentives went somewhere else. The incentives, Mr. Chair, are very good because now the club would benefit from the incentives.
Now, where would these incentives be coming from?
Like I've mentioned that there's a scorecard for each and every province. So that scorecard would inform the province what is happening at the hubs in RPC. And then that scorecard will assist the province to give it to Cricket South Africa. And then Cricket South Africa will obviously give the incentives to those that is achieved.
And you say that has not happened?
Mr. Chair, that has not happened in Khayelitsha. And it's sad, okay? And I think, I don't know, maybe now it's personal, maybe, you know, because there are other problems, okay? At our own clubs, sometimes, you know, black people, they fight amongst each other. And that is very dangerous because now it's an advantage, you know, for one to use that. But Mr. Chair, this is what we have done at the club. We have produced. I've got a proof, you know. I've got the reports that will show you that this is what we have done here. And from there, you would see that there's nothing that has been done, you know, to award these efforts.
Well, that takes us to the end of your testimony. Like I say, time is always the enemy of all of us. I am sure there is a lot that we can exchange by way of seeking to understand whether race and or gender discrimination, such as it would be in the Western Cape, in the cricketing world there in the Western Cape, is of a nature that calls for us to evaluate and find some remedies if it exists. And I think your testimony has added to the voices that have come from the Western Cape already. We've had a number of people, Advocate Norman, Arens SC, and a whole host of other people who have already testified from the Western Cape. And I can therefore not thank you enough for having taken the opportunity and having come to make this presentation yourself, so that we who are in this social justice and nation building project tasked by the board of Create South Africa to do work and see whether transformation is part and parcel of what is taking place in cricket in South Africa, which would include the place where you come from, the Western Cape. I do not think that we could have done it without your useful contribution by way of what is contained in your affidavit and by you coming to engage us in a discourse. Because these hearings, I would like to be able to see them as conversation. And that is what you have given us an opportunity to have with you, a conversation. And I thank you enough. I thank you very much for having done so. I think the next time we will be talking to each other will be when you read our report. And then say, oh, Marley, why are these people writing this kind of report? Where's my evidence?
Yeah.
I hope we will reflect your thinking and integrate it with the thinking of others. For now, we are adjourned and you are free to leave the platform.
I must thank you, Mr. Chair, as well. Thank you very much for the opportunity to give us this platform so that we can all engage. I think there's only one thing that we can do is to look for the answers, and resolve the issues. Otherwise, thank you very much to everyone.
You're welcome. Okay. Siyabulela nathi.